Good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. We have a special show tonight with Richard Blackheim from Shark Island. How are you?
Hey, Sean. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Well, we could do this. As I was saying earlier, there's a bunch of other shows. I think you've done. You do not a ton, but there's some really good deep dives you've done of the whole history of the band. I don't think we need to retread it. You just did an album 2022 with Alex Kane producing it, and you got the whiskey album. The video is like is an album too. I want to talk about all that and what's going on with you now because you sound phenomenal. The band sounds great, and I think for me, and I would say one other thing is I actually I heard Law of the Order, which feels so natural to say that phrase, Law of the Order. But then I got reintroduced to you back through being a fan of Alex and what he's been up to. So when he's like, "Oh, I've been doing Shark Island," I'm like, "Oh, Shark Island's been doing stuff." Go back to it again. I'm like, "I love that. I love that album." Go back, and I hope that's what's going to happen to a lot of other people that are going to get re-energized and go back and check this album and be like, "Oh my God, you haven't missed a step." You know. In fact, the one
Well,
before that's even good. I went back to the gathering. I went back and everything else. I'm like, oh, here we are. So first off, everybody check out this stuff. It was a long-winded opening, but all the material is really good. Let's start with Bloodline, though. That's a great album.
yeah, it came out pretty good. I like it. I like it. It was a very difficult album to make. We started it like, well, I started it alone, even without Alex. Uh, 4 times I had to start it, got into it, had to shelf it, started it again, had to get rid of it. It wasn't coming together for one reason or another. We had a lot of challenges, and then Alex and I, we kind of got together, and it was like we got focused and we got a good start, and then we just plowed through it. But it was a difficult one to make, but I was happy with it. Originally I did it. It was intended to be kind of my, like a swan song of sorts. I wanted it just to be the kind of the last one. I just like, oh, this is it. This is like, I mean, you've mentioned that. I know that you do some recording on your own, so you know what I'm talking about. How difficult it is. It's not an easy process to do an entire album from the ground up, and I just I was kind of in a place in my life I was saying, okay, this is the last one, but we'll see. But thank you for the compliment. I think it came out.
Well, it's really
I
good.
think
I
it
know
came
it's
out pretty
long.
good.
It came out really good, and I was a little long-winded, but I had a lot going on in my mind. I mean, because like Law of the Order, I heard when it came out, and there was so much. It was a weird time for music, and you guys were kind of shuffled around and never got a full thing. And doing this, I went back and I listened to it because like a lot of bands like this band didn't get a chance, this band didn't get a chance, and a lot of bands feel like they weren't a certain sound. Back then, a lot of bands did sound differently. But I was listening to it, I'm thinking, God, if I was the A&R guy for you guys back then, and even compared to now, I'm like, I really wouldn't know where to slot you because you guys really had a couple different sounds, and like you had sounds in there that would have been alternative, 100% like Gene Jezebel type of radio play.
Yeah,
Even off the school buses.
thanks for saying that.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is totally.
Well, marketing is a real challenge, and if you look back to when Law of the Order was happening, that kind of genre of rock, they were just pumping the bands out, and you really had to fit into a certain mold just to get any attention at all. And we were always a little bit different than the rest, than the Poisons and Lawrence and those kind of stuff. And those were the people that were out there at the time, and I was going, gosh, we're not really like this. And then of course, during my development deal with A&M, I already saw the writing on the wall about grunge coming in. They were going. A&M was a very good kind of forward thinking company, and all the A&R people were going up to Seattle every weekend. I mean, this was happening, and I was going, gosh, I mean, when you think about it, we barely squeaked that album out before the doors slammed shut, and that was it. And then we lost our A&R person. He moved on to another job, went back east, and so we didn't have a voice within the industry anymore. And I thought that we were we were the type of band that we could have easily just made a lateral step and moved and did a grunge album. I mean, without kind of being a sellout. I mean, grunge is just a kind of a repackaged thing, literally. And but we didn't have the voice anymore. It was just gone. There was no A&R person, and the A&R community at the time was I don't know what it is now in that industry. But it was a
I
very
don't know
small
anymore.
community. Everybody was watching what everybody else was doing. Everybody was very afraid to take a step. And if you need to have the A&R person is basically your advocate within the company. But that has all changed now. And, but the things that you were saying, I take them as a comment. In my mind, I thought the same thing,
Yeah.
and you're right on. I said a lot of what it is you mentioned guitar solos,
Yep.
and it's that, and it also is arrangements.
Mhm.
If the arrangements were different, and you removed the any guitar soloing at all, and we had if we were Pendletons with jeans torn in just the right spot, we would have been a grunge band. I mean,
Right.
almost say that. I used to make jokes all the time and say, Shark Island is the worst heavy metal band in the world. But I mean, it was certainly not heavy metal, but it was true. It was just to make a point. I remember going to Music Plus, and seeing if where's my record, and it was in the heavy metal section. I was like, why isn't it over there where the AC/DC is? Why isn't it over there where the Aerosmith is? And why is it here with Megadeth? And but that's all marketing. You don't even have a chance on it. If you load the CD into your computer, it'll automatically put it in heavy metal. It says heavy
Mhm.
metal. They say Law of the Order is heavy metal. It's not heavy metal. It's not. I would
I
rather
don't
it
hear any of
be
that.
alternative or something else, anything else, or have it just ragtime, anything, but heavy metal.
It's
Not that
rock and
I
roll.
hate
No,
metal,
no,
I
no,
do.
no. But because you have songs in there that are so not metal. I mean, you have rock guitar in there. There's like rock. The way I think that's why I say 70s a little bit because 70s wasn't metal, but you had some really good guitar like the AC/DC stuff. Same thing with Y&T. They had the same thing where they pretend like they had forced the metal thing when they were just a fantastic songwriting rock band. People always got to put them in a swim lane somewhere. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right?
and I think unfortunately that's once that video came out, I think that's probably made you heavy metal. Unfortunately,
Yeah, that's all
but
that
your
was
voice,
selling it.
yeah,
What can I do? What can I do? I
nothing.
I have been here. Here's an image for you. I remember being at Epic Records in a big conference room with a big table. Looks like the cliche table that we're all seen on television before, and discussing what songs are going to be on the record and what songs are not going to be on the record. And where the subject was Paris Calling. Are we going to put Paris Calling on the record? And I go, well, of course we're going to put Paris Calling on the record. That's the best track. It's the strongest track we have as far as what I perceive
Commercial.
as being, commercial. I don't know. I mean, it was like tooth and nail to get that on there. Can you believe that?
No,
And
because
it
it's the
barely
most, it's the biggest crossover song on there. It really is. Not just saying it in hindsight. If you listen to all the songs, that one has the most of everything collectively.
That's right. That's right. And I knew that. I mean, I knew that even at the time. I mean, I'm a pretty prolific writer. I've wrote hundreds of songs, and I know that some of my songs are crappy and some of them are good. These are the better songs here. I'm going to share these. These I'm going to forget about. But that's the kind of thing. And then it bleeds over into the recording of it. So you're in the studio, and we used to do this. We used to do early days, we did a lot of cover songs. So
Mhm.
that's why we always have kind of a cover song and the record, because we end up doing a cover song, then we kind of make it our own. And the one from Law of the Order happened to be The Chain by Fleetwood Mac, right? Man, we used to rip that up live. I mean, it was unbelievable live. And I said, we're going to put that on, but the producer really wasn't into it. He wasn't. I mean, he went and he's like begrudgingly, and and it's that sort of thing. It's just like, you know what, you got to be a professional. We're, we're the artists. We're doing the recording. We're doing the work, the heavy lifting. You just got to capture it. And if they're not into it, what do you do?
They're good, just good songs. Like, I mean, is it Gathering of the Faithful? Was it? Is it Blue Skies? Is the first track? Is Blue Skies? I love that song. I'm saying it right, right? Blue Skies.
Yeah, I
It's off
think
your.
so.
That's a
No,
beautiful
no,
song.
yeah, you're gathering. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
completely different song.
I know that all your songs are. My point is, they're so different. I love the song, but
Everyone
it's
likes that
so
song.
different.
Even your mom likes that song. You don't even have to like. You don't even have to like the music. I play that song, and everyone likes it.
But you
It's
put it
like
on a
no
record
matter
player,
what
you don't know who
that
it is, though,
means.
right? That's the whole point. Is you put it
Pardon?
on, you wouldn't have it. If you put that on, you
No,
put the other songs on, you don't have an image, and that's the whole problem with image is fun to the point where it's not fun anymore. Like it's a great showcase. It's like Tesla. When Tesla came out, they didn't have an image, but their image was they're the guys who wear jeans. But not having an image, they ended up having an image. You know,
right.
and I love Tesla, but I mean, but they tried to not have an image, and they still end up getting an image by not having an image. You know, it still worked for them, but even them, times change. Like it's just no one was going to escape it. You know what I mean? The few bands that made it through imploded with personal numbers. You know, Van Halen made it through, but they imploded on their own. You know, I mean, it's like it
Right.
was not good for rock music. You know, I don't think you stood a chance. So the fact you survived, and we're talking now, and you're still putting out music, I would love to see you keep putting out music. You know, obviously, personally, it can be very arduous to write songs and go through all the pain to do it. But as a fan of music, you know, this is not an album where you're like, yeah, this should be your last album. Your voice is just as strong. Your songs are. This album probably rocks more. It's heavier than probably anything,
It is
actually.
heavier. It wasn't. I wasn't intended to be heavier. It ended up being heavier. But it was a long process along the way. I mean, I'm looking at stuff now. They want me to do some more writing, and I'm still not. I'm kind of I'm leaning towards um, some songs that have just like guitar and vocals, very acoustic, very stripped down, very. I mean, I take a lot of the songs that you're familiar with, and on all the records, they're stripped down and played like with guitar and vocals. I have a whole album's worth of the songs that have been already released, but are just played on acoustic guitar and vocals, just to strip them
That'd be
down,
cool.
just to expose them and go, look at what these songs really are. The rest of it is just fluff. There's the amplifiers and some drums and bass and loud and this and all this. But you strip them down and you go, and I'm really proud of them like that, because kind of like Blue Skies, I'd like to be able to share some of the music with people that aren't necessarily into the genre, just for legacy's sake. I almost feel like saying, I mean, kind of what we were talking about earlier, the lyric videos. The
Hmm.
lyric videos were designed to kind of, hey, I want to show you another facet of the music. Look at these lyrics there's actually lyrics in this song, and here they are, and this is how it goes. But it's like almost a step more. Another heavy record. I don't know. I don't really
No, I
much
didn't
think
say no.
about it.
I didn't say heavy record. I just said put out another record. An artist needs to write what
Oh,
they write.
okay,
That's what I'm saying.
right.
I mean, that's the kind of fan I am. I'm like, would I enjoy another heavy record? Hell yeah. But do I like Blue Sky? And I'm like, yeah. So like, I just like music, and if an artist is being creative, I'm always open to hear it. But it's hard.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of becoming, you know, anti-technology. I'm really removed where I live right now. I live on a ranch with a bunch of animals, and I told you, it took me almost 30 minutes to get this Zoom thing figured out, because I haven't done it in so long, and then you lose it. You lose it if you don't know your way around, or if you don't do it
Yeah.
every day. I mean, I know it's easy for people to do it every day. It's a piece of cake, but I'm like, what? Your password? You want to change your password? Are you a human? Go back and check your email. It's like, oh God. Well, a good song should present in its most stripped down form. I mean, it should be intact. Even that, the rest of it, like I said, is just icing on the cake. It's just flair, and then the flair is often dictated to what the style of the day is. What
What's
is
going on?
selling now.
So in regards to the album, this when I was talking to we talking to Alex, I said any questions that you think I should bring up. So he said we're going to ask about the three different times, three different studios that I recorded at, and he wanted me to ask you about the time right before you guys were done with the album. He punched a hole in the wall. You guys wanted, he said to ask about that.
Yeah, yeah, we were in. Oh God, that was terrible. We were in Zagreb in Croatia. We're doing
Okay.
basic tracks, and it was very difficult. The studio was a private studio in an underground room in a part of town that had basically a speakeasy from the old communist days. So it was really dark, really dank, but the equipment was awesome. The room was awesome, but it was just frustrating as hell with
Why were you
what.
there? Like, are you in like a witness relocation program or something? Hiding like that's such a. I'm not. I'm like, why would you in Croatia? Like you're in Croatia, a really cool bomb shelter.
I go there a lot, and I found
Okay.
this studio, and it is so awesome. You can walk down the street; it's dark. There's no street lights. These old kind of mansions, and a guy told me, he says, there's a private nightclub there, and under the private nightclub there's a recording studio. And I went, really? And we went and checked it out. He knew the guy, and to go in from a dark street into this room, and it was just like a bar. It was a full-on bar with a little stage, and then you take some narrow stairs down, and all of a sudden you're in a big nice board, nice equipment. I'm going, wow, this is where you got to record some basic tracks right down here. We did a lot of it there, and he just got really plugged in, and it was very difficult for him to, Alex is very, very busy person as
Yes,
far
he
as
is.
music goes. I'm kind of busy, but not as far as music. I have times when I am, but he was having problems with the engineer. There was a language problem, and Alex had certain ways of doing it, and he had other ways of doing it, and there was this conflict, and he got so pissed off, and he punched a hole in the wall and broke his hand. He
Oh,
broke like two fingers, if I recall, and it was just like it was unbelievable. Just one of those awkward instances, those moments that he just when you just lose it, like road rage or whatever. Who knows what? Just a combination of everything. It was difficult. You're tired, cold. You're in a weird place. Everybody's speaking a different language, and
why wouldn't they
and
listen to him to begin with though? If it's your project, you obviously it's you are the main character of this project of the story, and Alex is part of that. Why would that person's working for you? I mean, producer, engineer, or whoever's running the board, it could be their place, but they're still inherently working for that person. It's not their name on the
yes,
project. It's not.
that is all very true, and that's part of where the frustration came from.
It's
Because
your vision,
you
not
know
this guy.
it is, but if you're when you're doing something, no matter where you are, even where you're recording, when you have all these people working, you have engineers, you have producers, you kind of have to walk you have to kind of walk a line, because it's not like you can completely dictate exactly what you want. You want everybody to be into it. You want everybody to bring their soul and their enthusiasm to the project. So you have to kind of facilitate certain people's opinions along the way. And if you don't, then you get that kind of, I don't care. I'm just working here.
Blase. Well,
This is my job.
I
You'll
think that's
always
the
get the
thing.
better of you'll always get the best of somebody if they're into it, if they like it, if they like you, they like the music, they like the situation. You'll always get the best of that person. So there's a lot of that involved with music. There's that story about the round table at Epic. They're just
Yeah.
There's just that you just have to have it. I mean, that's how I read it. I may be totally wrong, and maybe that's why I'm live on a
Hmm.
ranch now because I got it all wrong. I don't know.
No, I think like one of the things I did when I was doing recording when I was younger, in the few studios I worked at, it was really about like if an artist came to you, they're like, "This is when you're younger, it's also about the budget, but it's like this is the sound I make. This is what I do. I can facilitate it. I think we can work good as together. I mean, especially at that level when you have a real label, you got money behind you. You know what, and for people that listen, like you know what a Mutt Lange is. You know what a kind of song that Desmond Child's going to write, and because they're at the peak of their profession, you know what they're going to do. You want a pop song that's got a rock song to it. Desmond or Holly, they're writing songs. Or if you want a certain sound, like get a Mutt Lange or Bob Rock for the, you know what I'm saying? So if they have a specialty and you're going to something for that, and you got you're known for your songwriting, and you want your songwriting to reflect that sound, but to go to a place where somebody's like, I don't know who you are, I have a vision of who this band's going to sound like, and for the producer to shape the band, that was always kind of a weird thing, you know what I mean? And that was always been a battle because bands will walk out being like, this is not who we sound like live, or this really isn't us. We just wanted to sound like us. And the producer would be like, yeah, I didn't like that sound. Now maybe the band needed it to be toned up a little bit, but maybe they needed to keep the original sound. You know what I'm saying? And I think producers always won that battle. And that's why,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. You mentioned Bloodline. If you're going to be working with somebody with that kind of mentality, you better be ready to be in the studio for quite a long time. You
but
know,
you
and
know what
if
you're
you don't
getting.
have a
That's
budget to,
that's part of the package though. That's you know what I'm saying. But the point is you know what you're getting for a business. It's like a business. Music is a business. And if you hire somebody to produce, you say, all right, I know you're good at this sound, or I know you're open. Here's what we are. This is a combination. You're not driving the ship. Co-pilot it together, but the band still have to have a say in it. I mean, that's why I think a lot of second albums have failed because they lost control of the
Alex
ship.
was producing.
And
Alex
it
was
sounds
producing,
great.
and
It sounds great.
he had yeah. He's. I always tell him you can remind him next time you talk to him. I always tell him that he should be that. I think that Alex should focus on producing. I personally, you know, this.
I like him splitting it. I'm selfish. I just saw him play guitar, and I got some good footage of him that we talked about. I was just sending him of him, and there's actually up on my page, people, of him playing guitar. Great souls. I literally, he is such a fantastic and energetic person to watch playing.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
is.
he's got too
He's
much talent
very,
to keep him in
very.
place. So, you know,
Yeah, he is very. But at some point, we'll see. We'll see how long he can keep it up. I hope he can keep it up forever. It's a lot of
but
work to do
no, but the production
that.
is good though. And I actually said today, I said, by the way, I've been listening to this album a lot. You know, burning in my head, so I know the reference if I want to reference things. And I'm like, man, the production is so good in this album. It's so
Yeah,
you're like
it's
you're
a
in the room. It's
it's a
loud. It's the balance and the guitars and the bass. The vocals are still popping out in the front where they're supposed to be. They're not buried. Makes me crazy when I'm like, what is he saying? Like with the lyric video, you have a white background blasting behind white lyrics. You're like, what is that lyric? Like I listen to the music. I want to hear it. I'm reading a lyric. I want to read it. Basics, you know. And yeah, it's a great album sonically, and you know, just the
well.
songs are good.
Hey, I'll have to have a listen to it. I haven't
And
listened to it.
well, the funny thing is, Alex has been the gateway drug. Like I said, I went back listening to him. I got talking to him, and it's like, oh, you're doing that group, and I wasn't as aware. And I went back and checked out the stuff, and you know, listened to the other stuff you've done since then. And it's really good, and I want people to check it out. That's why I want you on the show because I want to really help keep encouraging. You know,
Well,
you be heard. And,
it's nice. It's very flattering to have someone really interested in what you do. So to have something that you do matter to someone. So I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate anybody that you know. I try to put out the best that I can do at the time. You know, maybe I can do better. I can always hope to do better. And I mentioned to you before, I rarely listen to things after it's published, right? I know at the time I felt it was good. It was the best I can do, but I'm afraid to listen to it because I might go, oh gosh, did I actually say that? Or gee, I could have done that a little bit better, right? So that's okay. I mean, I don't know if anyone's listening.
no,
Yeah,
but
I sometimes it is. Sometimes it's super cringy, but sometimes it's better. You know, you know what I've been doing lately. I've realized that you know in this in the times we've been in for the past for you know decades now, everybody walks around with a video camera, on their phone. So everything is captured, everything you do. But back when we were, you know, really playing in the early days, when I was doing 300 shows a year, and but there's very, very little footage of it. So
Yeah.
I went out in the storage room and opened some of these boxes that haven't been opened for 2 moves, and I found these VCR tapes, and I went, "Wow, this is." I don't even have a VCR player anymore, so I had to try to find a VCR,
Hold up
and
to a lamp.
I asked my almost, and I asked my friend, "Do you have one?" "Oh, I was gonna throw it out." Doesn't work. Called my brother. I got one here. It's somewhere in the garage. Doesn't work. Another one doesn't work. And I had 3 machines that just don't work. And I'm opening up trying to figure out what's going on. Then I went on eBay and I found one,
Like
and
$15.
set up a screen and I'm plugging it in. And I just went, wow. And I found a little bit of footage from some clubs and stuff,
Oh, nice.
very nice moment. And I thought it's going to be one of those really cringy moments. But, when I was playing, heavy, like I said, 300 shows a night, it was just like being on stage was more comfortable than talking to you. I was just like, that was my zone. This was my home. I know everything about it. I know everything I'm doing, every single note, every single beat, everything. And it was pretty fun to watch. I said, wow, I forgot about that. And it's like literally in the middle of it right now. Literally, I got it set it up in my little shop. I got a screen, plugged it in to get it working. It's the quality isn't great, for I don't know if I don't think the audio's
Yeah.
there. And I went, wow, this is perfect. So I'm going to see what there is there. But
I think it'd be awesome to see it, I'd love to see it. But you're also doing, as we get to the end of this, the whiskey show. So there's some videos up for that now that Alex put up, or I
right,
edited.
I can't watch that.
I like it. It's good. I want to tell you though, your
Yeah,
video, your
is it
website
good?
is fantastic. Yeah, the video's good, but your website's really good too. All that movement
Yeah,
in it with the waves and stuff. I'm getting a little anxiety. It's probably one of the most interactive sites I've seen in a while. It's really good.
really? Okay,
I like
well,
it. I like it.
I'm afraid to watch it.
No, no, it's good. And but I'm saying you have a lot on your
No,
website. You got the videos are good. You have a lot going on. It's very current. And I think sometimes bands will start something for a project and then it goes away. And be able to have a ghost town website. And I don't think a band needs to be on social media all the time, but you do need a home for people, especially like people that aren't always on social media, that they can just go to one place. You know what I mean? I still think that's what it comes down to. So your webpage is good, and the link for your webpage will be underneath the show on YouTube and on the podcast, so they can go right to your page. Better to buy stuff from the artist right from the page. You know, dates for any shows coming up. I don't think I said any shows coming up though for you. Right now.
there's some talk of like 3 shows early in the year, like in like March or April or something.
Mhm.
It's I think it's like Monsters of Rock and maybe uh um some I think it's one of those rainbow festivals, those outdoor things that I don't know what it is exactly, but they're throwing something around. It's too far in the future for me to even
With
consider
you
it.
guys
So
being on festivals, it's probably best. Any event that there's a lot of other similar artists, the rock of our generation, is perfect for a band like you because there's so many different bands that have different sounds that you have an open audience for fans to kind of,
right,
that
that's right,
that is the best position for a band like you right now is to be in as many of these as opposed to being like locked in with a certain type of band for like a 8 month tour, because it's good, but you're going to have that same audience listening to you the entire time. Whereas some of these great festival shows or boat concerts or whatever it's going to be, you've got a whole different age group and bracket, kids to their parents coming in,
yeah, I
which
know.
is good for a band like you.
Kids with their parents. That's right. That's right.
But this is fantastic. I'm glad we could talk a little bit. I want to thank you for your time.
Well,
It's been very
thanks.
enjoyable.
Thanks. Thank you. I genuinely appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah.
It's really good. So people check out all the albums, the Bloodline and Bloodline 2.020. Little tongue in cheek there with the name, and it's really good and it's remixed. But then you go back to like say there's like Gather Faithful, and then law of the order, which feels so unnatural to say. Law of the order actually becomes a song later on in another album. Kind of fun.
Yeah, that's right.
If you go through the
That's
albums,
Law of the
like,
Order ended up
yeah,
being a song name on Bloodline.
yep.
Right.
And you do cover songs and some of the albums. It's great. And I'm looking to use a big thing for people that aren't even aware of you, like, or haven't caught audience. And it's funny because some of the cover songs you do are kind of alternative music, so it's really kind of great. And you hit a lot of different sounds. And I think nowadays, I think people are more open to it too. You know, I think a rock fan would be like, "Oh, I like half the album." Like now, you listen to it, you're like, "I like all these different types of music because each song's different."
Right.
You know, so you know, as a fan,
Yeah, I'll always do a cover song, and heck, I would do a whole album of cover songs. I have no problem with it at all. You know, when I first started, um, uh, you know, back in the '70s, right? Um, it was very common for all bands just to be cover bands. I mean, Van Halen was a
oh
huge
yeah,
cover band.
the biggest cover
People
band ever.
realize a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, Van Halen played at my high school dance, you know, and they played Rebel Rebel and Trampled Underfoot and you know all kinds of stuff. And they were actually the band that where the shift occurred when they started to put some originals into their repertoire, into their shows. And then of course they were they were the first band in a long time to get a record deal. That's what they called it back then. And that shifted. And then from that point on, everybody's writing their own songs, you know. But you know, I started cover songs too. We did the whole song. We did 3 shows a night in nightclub, cover songs, you know, everything, you know, from the jazz band to since Casey and the Sunshine Band and David Bowie, Aerosmith and Kiss, you know, anything, you know, but that's how it was. And I like doing
Well,
songs, and I think people like to hear it too. People
yeah,
who like music, they love to hear it. You know, they don't have to
it's
be a
familiar.
fan of the band; they can be a fan of the song. Yeah.
One of the things I think that one of the takeaways I
So
always thought was really good about band is like, for bands that artists that did a lot of covers and or like an opening act, and you didn't get a lot of good pay or whatever, but you go on tour with a band that's got an audience and whatever it is, you opening act. To me, those are the two things of kind of like rock and roll college in a way that you learn things that are so priceless. Like if you do enough cover songs, you learn how a song's put together as a songwriter. You get an idea. You're,
exactly,
you're learning. So
exactly. I was
it is like in college class for you. If you're on tour on the road, you learn about the hierarchy. You learn about this and that. Once again, it's like an internship or you know what I mean. Those are the important things that people don't get
you
out of
were
those gigs.
so You are so right, Sean. That's exactly what it is. I use the metaphor like if and I'm not really that into sports, but like if you were a football team, you know, it would behoove you as a team to to learn all the plays of the teams that you're playing with,
Yeah,
you know. It would expand your whole understanding of how things are put together, how plays are put together, how songs are put together, structure, arrangement, what sounds good, what sounds bad, and you can only get that, in my opinion, by knowing cover songs. I mean, it's
it
very
is.
obvious to me, but I don't think anybody does that anymore.
No, but I think I always thought it does, and I think it's really interesting. And like some artists that haven't covered it, do cover songs that they've always kind of said, you know what, it's fun doing it now. I never really got it. One of the funniest things I think about most people is like, and when I started playing guitar or whatever, I even learned to appreciate it. And you may have like when you hear a song and you first heard a song, you're like, oh, that song sucks. I try to say that anymore because everybody writes their own music, and I'm trying to be a grown up. But a younger man would be like, that sucks, or I don't like a song and it annoys me, whatever it is. And then for some reason you end up it's in front of you and the sheet music, and for ha-has, you try it, and you're like, I get it. Oh my god, that chord change is really smart. All of a sudden, you get a new appreciation
Mm.
for a song when you play a song that he's like, I didn't get it before. It might not still be your favorite song, but you're like, I get it now. And now I'm like, I need to be quiet because I don't know anything. But when you play a song, you get a different feeling of when you hear it because you learn the mechanics of it. It's like
Sure you do.
a car or something. Or and I think that's to me that's part of it. That's part of the knowledge of learning it and being a better songwriter.
Yeah, I think it's essential. I think anybody, that would be my advice to anybody that wanted to do music, would be to
You found
learn.
out on Earth, you know.
Right, right.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping
I'm
that.
I'm 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 gonna do that. I mean, I bought the damn machine, right? And
Mhm.
it cost me almost $100, and so I'm gonna do it. So I just have to digitize it, and then, divide it. I don't know if I'm even gonna mess with the sound. I could.
I think if the sound's good, you might be able to get away with just leaving it as it is, you know, because it kind of holds to what it is.
I think I would prefer that. I would prefer. I'm on key. I'm not singing flat or anything. I'm on. So hey,
There's something about originality and being the original rawness of it. I mean, especially if you see the stuff on YouTube nowadays, I can't imagine you sounding negative compared to some of the stuff out there. I'm sure it sounds fine. You know, being a live
right,
performer.
right, and
I
and
don't.
I
I
don't
don't.
like I don't like lip syncing.
Right.
I see, when I see somebody who has a soundtrack that's been flown in on a video. I mean, I can tell in 1 second, and I would tell you, 97% of the videos that you see are that.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare. They say that's not. It is. Believe me, I can tell if someone's lip syncing, or to a track
Yeah.
on a video, like, immediately. It's,
I'd rather hear just live mistakes all day long. You know,
a well placed mistake is very beautiful. Look
and
at that. Look
twice
at
it's on purpose, right?
what?
If
Yeah,
you play if you play the mistake twice, it's on purpose. It's a new
yeah, that's right.
version.
That's supposed to be like that. That's right.
This has been great. So I'm gonna when I see it, I'll re-promote your if you when you release that, I'll find out and I'll put that on my page. Have people check it out and let Debbie come
Okay.
back again. We'll talk some more. Maybe we'll talk if you have some kind of special acoustic thing or some kind of album in the future you're doing or something. That'd be kind of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We'll geek out about it again. Thank you, man. Thanks for
Okay.
being on the show.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.